sort of assessment kind of discussion. It's not meant to be, how should I put this, teaching so much as more in response to several comments that we've heard over time about how to do good assessments. So what we are going to do is show you some of the ways we have started to collect data for us to analyze, why some of the data that we have collected we cannot analyze yet and we might never be able to, and some of the data that we have come up with. Even though it's numbers, you will see that what we have discovered across many of the institutes we have conducted is not different from many of the comments that you make yourselves about what you discover in your classes, right? So what are some of the most common things that come across, how your own teachings affect the pre and post assessments you do, and so forth. So we haven't discovered something completely new. It's just been more sort of methodical, if you will. And in the books, and we can talk about them in the book, in your agenda book, we have given you examples that you can use or modify or however you want to do that. So Alistair, yes? Was a question? No?
No.
So Alistair is making little pieces of paper so that you all get divided, mixed up in 3 groups, because that's what we do. And so while he does that, what I will present is data that we collected from 4 out of 6 institutes that we have done, 7 actually. So, and the first 3 that we did are not included here because the first one, we didn't have any assessment tools prepared the way we want them because it was our first one and everything was new and everything was overwhelming for us. Okay, so I mean that happens. The beginning is difficult for everyone and you forget stuff. Then the second one, MENA 2, we devised questions, and then in the Southeast Asia Institute, that actually Southeast Asia Institute came before MENA 2, so the first questions were there, and then in MENA 2 we changed the questions. So the questions are not comparable anymore because they are changed, okay? We didn't think about that. What we wanted to do is make the questions easier for the participants to understand, but when we went back to analyze, it wasn't apples and oranges, but we still couldn't analyze them because they were not the same. So we can't use data from 3 institutes, all right? So, which is difficult, I mean not difficult, which is unfortunate because there were many people there. So we have here MENA 3. We have an institute that happened in India, in Mangalore. That was happening at the same time as MENA 3 pretty much. And the 2 institutes that we've done in Egypt. And the reason we can compare this is because the questions have remained the same across all 4 of those. The only difference is that in India, the institute was shorter for 3.5 days, but for the purposes of the analysis, this doesn't really affect much. So just to refresh your memory, this is what our schedule at a glance looked like, right? This was MENA 2. This was, I think, more compact and more full than MENA 3 because back then we didn't have a break in the day. It was really too much. But if you did not take part in this, but always before the institute began, there's a facilitator day, and this is part of our survey and our assessment. And this is when the participants do the work. The white pieces are where we are doing the teaching, the active learning, the education, the content. And all of this is group work, and on the last day, there are the presentations. Okay, this remains constant throughout our institutes. So, the way we have conceptualized what we wanted to analyze is we sat back and we thought about all this work that was, every institute was 3 phases. You know, the first week, let's say 5 to 6 days that you participated, then the grant writing and application, and the work that happens by the participants in their at home, and then the reunion. So it's 3 things over approximately 18 months, because from the day we start, then it takes about 6-7 months for us to hold the actual 5-6 day institute, then another many months for the grant applications and whatnot, and finally the reunion. In order for us to be able to understand whether we're actually achieving something more than the change between day 1 when people come and day 6 when they leave, or maybe a month after that, we needed to think about things in a continuum of time. So we have some things we are looking at that we call short-term, very close, or during the first piece, these 5-6 days that people participated. We have some things that we're looking between months 3 to 12 after the project. And then we have long-term, which is years after things have been completed. This is the part that we have not yet done. There is a survey out that Jenna is responsible for, but this is where we don't yet have a lot of data collected, because it's hard to find people and it's hard to communicate and get this information. Even though what we will present is about our work, we think that this kind of approach can apply to anything that each of you does. It doesn't have to be an activity that lasts 18 months. If you think about it, you have a workshop today, maybe a course like Hakan, maybe something more permanent within the curriculum. Many of you have talked about this, right? You want to see whether you're achieving something beyond your pre and post assessments, the beginning of the course and the end of the course. So maybe some of the things we have come up with that are further down the road, you know, thinking in the long term, maybe these are things you can use, you can adapt, and that they can help you. So I think I'm going to stop there, because this is our first exercise we want to do. What we are going to ask you when you are divided into groups is to, each group is going to take one topic. So one group is going to look into the short term, one group into the medium term, and one group into the long term. And what we would like you to do for how long? 15 minutes?
Yes, 15 minutes. What we want you to do is to think about how you would assess success. So how do you think you will have met your objectives in the short term about the courses that you are teaching? So what sort of indicator, if you like, will tell you that you have met your objectives? So group A, so everyone with an A on this table to do short term, B will do medium term, and C will do long term.
Yes.
So short term is in the weeks and perhaps up to a month after your course. Medium term is months after, okay? And long term, years. So C.